Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to yet another edition of, well, I think it's the best damn show going because look at the handsome guys on this band. I mean, it's like a Chippendale search night here. Tim here. Welcome to the Edgy live stream. Glad to have you aboard because let's face it, there's nothing else going on in the world. You should be with us watching tonight. So
That's
leave
right.
all that other stuff behind for an hour. We'll have a little bit of fun. We'll talk some sports. We'll have a couple of guests in, and just looking forward to being with you for the next hour. Joining me, as always, the gentleman. Well, let's see. I'm looking on the screen, so he's to my right. And if you're at home, I don't know where the handsome guy, the coach, Coach Joe Rodeghero, joining us, the Hall of Famer. Joe, appreciate you being with us again.
Always a pleasure, Edge. Always a pleasure.
And of course, Dave Dwyer is not with us. He is on assignment this week. So we will welcome Dewey back hopefully next week. In the meantime, as you can tell, we have our first guest in right off the heels of Heroes West Warrior Wing Night, if I'm not mistaken.
That is me.
The one, the only John Ivelo, head coach of the Bolingbrook Raiders, joining us. And John, by the way, I try to catch Heroes West for Warrior Wing Wednesday as well. It's a pretty spectacular deal, and I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of their wings. They are good size wings, John.
Yes, I enjoy their wings very much.
Glad to have you here, and obviously we're going to talk about what's going on, and probably more specifically what's not going on these days with IHSA sports and high school football in particular. But one of the reasons I want to bring you on, and first of all, I want to commend you for, well, there's so many things we could commend you for, but you have been very active kind of letting all of your Bolingbrook Raider fans know about your kids playing at the next level and giving everyone a heads up saying, hey, we've got this kid playing and this kid playing this week. And I love it because it literally has gotten me to change channels and to record games and stuff. So, I forgot this one's playing here. This one's playing there. You had quite a few kids playing in bowl games over the last couple of weeks.
Yes. And just like you said, with us not playing or doing much of anything else, I've got a lot more free time. And why not spend a few minutes just updating people on where everybody is? I get mad. I'll see a kid playing and they'll say a name. And I'm like, why do I know that name from? I know that name. And it's just nice to see. It's kind of nice to know where they're from. So, what's his name? Mike Luter on Facebook, when I was on there. I don't go on there much anymore. But when he was on there, he'd always put out a synopsis of just like conference scores. So maybe now he can take something on this next time with just, hey, where these kids are playing on college now.
Yeah, it's something. I'll be honest. It's something I'm going to try to emulate a little bit. And again, it's going to be hard to do it on a statewide level, but
sure,
something to that effect because it really is neat. And I think, and Joe, I know you've got a couple for John. You got to talk about Tough Borland. I mean, terrific performance, primetime game. He comes up big when Ohio State's defense really needed to come up big. I mean, none of us are really surprised, but he continues. I mean, you and I, John, have talked about him for a long time now and the type of young man he is. And my thought is I'm just not surprised. And I guess that's kind of, I don't know. We expect too much of him maybe, but he's always has been that kid that just gets it done.
Correct. Just a tremendous person, first of all. Tremendous work ethic. Nobody outworked him. That kid put in the most time in the weight room, on the field, off the field, more time than just about anybody I know. And a lot of it had to do was because, he wasn't gifted like a lot of other athletes are. And he worked at it, and he attacked his weaknesses, and he still does it to this day. And that's why he's going to play on Sundays.
John, as Edgy said, and we've talked about Tough over the years, and it was as a guy who covered him on the radio and talked to you many times on Thursday nights, and now we're talking to you on Wednesday night. But just the pride that I had in this area, knowing that I covered this young man, watching him making tackles and winning the MVP award and doing all those things, that smile on his face. He actually, when they were raising the trophy, he reminded me of you a little bit facially and stuff, but just the pride that I had in our area, I can't imagine you as the coach having that sense of pride that you coached this young man and coached other young men too, but actually seeing this young guy on one of the biggest stages, and he's going to be on the biggest stage come Monday night for college football.
Certainly. No, that makes us all very proud. But once again, there's a lot of people that need to be thanked for that. A lot of stuff goes into that, starting, with his dad. His dad is a pretty, pretty dominant force in the kid's life. And the boys' love for football and coaching them. And, he played at Wisconsin, and, he had a brief stint there in the NFL for a little bit. And then mom's a college athlete, a hooper. Not a lot of people know that. She was a basketball player. And, younger brother Trevor out at Buffalo. And just continues to go. And, the programs he came from and through, from the youth program all the way up to now. I mean, he's had some pretty nice accolades and programs he's played for.
John, what is it as far as him as a player? You mentioned improving, continuing to work, improve his weaknesses. What's been the biggest jump in your eyes that he's made since maybe the time he left you to kind of where he's at and where his game's at now? What's been the biggest adjustment for him?
Well, the biggest adjustment is probably just going to be the fact that he's no longer playing against high school. He was advanced and above, head and shoulders, football IQ above anybody else. Physically, we only maybe had one or two kids, probably the Huffs on our team that could go toe-to-toe with him physically. And then all he did was take that to the next level. So being able to dominate on the next level like he did the high school level, I just think it all had to do the same thing. He kept doing what he knew best. And then he gets at Ohio State. You got cream of the crop strength trainers, nutritionists, and he just kept doing what he did. But no, he was always smart. He was always tough, no pun intended. And he was just, that good of a football player. And he just really, he took care of a lot of his stuff in high school. He just carried it all over to college and was able to duplicate that at that level, which is usually not easy to do. It usually starts to even out, but he can still dominate. And I know he takes a lot of slack, on the Twitter. After one of the first series, they got picked on a swing route and the back caught the ball and outran him down the sideline for a few yards. And people start saying, "Oh, I can't wait till he graduates." Oh, I mean, you take it with a cup of tea, because a lot of those people never played the game. They don't understand what they're talking about. They don't know. And here he gets the MVP of the game. That was the icing on the cake for me to, tell that guy to stick it, where. But, again, people who don't know about the game should shut up and clap. That's my opinion.
And that's a great I'm glad you mentioned that play, because when I saw that play, immediately the football coach in me actually said, "Well, he just took a bad angle." And after that, he never took a bad angle after that. He learned from his mistake. And as good as I do as a coach, that's what you want your players to do. And he's smart enough and good enough that he did do that.
And again, the MVP.
Yep.
Three-time captain, too. So he's doing something right out there, right?
If
exactly.
you have comments, questions, if you're watching us on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter, John, we got them all covered. So if we've got the chat here. If you got any questions, feel free to throw them our way, either for the coach, Joe, any hitting tips you can give over StreamYard. More than happy to help you out. And I'll be glad to answer any questions you have recruiting wise or whatever. And Coach John, as far as Ivlo is concerned, as the recruiters, and again, talk about a tremendous resource for recruiting. That is John Ivlo in many, many different regards. What I find interesting about Tough Borland that a lot of people don't talk about, and I know, John, I've been on this crusade for about the last year or so about pointing out the high-level academic kids coming out of Bolingbrook High School. Is it true that Tough Borland already has his master's?
He's got one degree, and I'm not sure. Yeah, but I'm not sure what all the fancy, robes and and scarves they wear are, but he's got something, I know, because I've seen pictures with that stuff on. So
How
I never
how
got mine. So
I know. I joked with my daughter that we are just gonna go to like Michael's and pick up a bunch of like
that's
ropes
right.
and throw 'em around. So
But
no,
he has graduated though, so I know he's got his bachelor's. So
yeah. I mean that's amazing within itself. I mean, you're playing at the Ohio State University, major college program. I'm sure most kids probably take the minimal amount of hours in the fall and then try to make it up. If he's graduated as early as he has, there's no way he did that. So he was taking a full load in the fall.
staying out there for summers.
And that goes back to coming back to you in Bolingbrook, and you mentioned his family and his parents as well. And you've had a long line of kids that have been on an academic path. I mean, you've got two heading to college, or they're probably there by now. Well, at least I know Justin Walters will be at
Justin's going to
Notre
head
Dame.
out early February, and then Malik leaves this weekend, I think. Yeah. Malik Rainey to Cincinnati, and Justin Walters to Notre Dame. Early grads. Yeah, midterm grads.
Tyler as well is going to be with you through the spring, but when he goes into Michigan, I know he's a very good student as well.
Yep.
How do you get that done? How far back is it? Early on when they get into high school? Fill us in.
The kids, well, when they come in, we try to identify them, just based on their performances, as who's going to be potentially an NCAA kid that we're going to have to keep an eye on and make sure they get all their core courses and stuff. We track everybody, but then there's some of the other kids that are no-brainers. That's kind of identified early on. And usually if you're a freshman on the varsity, chances are pretty good you're going to get your school paid for. But by sophomore year, we got a pretty good idea where kids are going to go. This year's been a challenge, and a little bit differently because, we had kids get gypped out of a season. And now they're sitting at home with no film. We're at a tremendous disadvantage. But no, we've got things in place. I used to do all of the calculations for core GPAs and classes picked and stuff, but then we sat down years ago and we got the guidance department involved. We used to have one counselor, proficient in the NCAA rules, regulations, classes. Now all of our counselors do it, so that takes spreads out a lot of the load. And our kids don't take any classes that don't count toward NCAA. There are no, PE you have to. It's mandated by the state of Illinois. But everything else, we're taking English, math, science, social studies. And the way our kids get a lot of them graduate early, they take care of that English by doubling up on English or taking English in summer school, because you need 4 full years of English. So you can't skip out of that. You got to usually stay your senior year to get all your years of English. But if they double up or take summer school, we get them out. And then they are able to double up because a lot of kids will take a full load. They won't have a lunch, or if they'll take an early hour and get their PE out of the way to pick up an extra academic class. They know what they need to do. If they've got the talent and they want to do the work, we'll get you out of there. So it's been going on for a while now. I think I'm trying to think who our first early grad was. Might have been Morrison back in 2012.
Yeah, he was an early.
About the last 8 years, we've been on fire though with early grads.
Yeah, John, you mentioned, I mean, you and I have talked outside the locker room before games and stuff, and we did them on the radio, and we would talk about your kids. And as most coaches do, they keep tabs of their kids like you do, and you do a great job, as you mentioned. It has to be, especially with academics, but it has to be even outside now with all the distractions and with this COVID thing and being online and doing all this. It has to be a little bit more challenging this year for you and most coaches.
Quite. I'll be honest. We've got a team Twitter that we just put announcements out about, and the fact that we haven't done anything since November or whatever it was when they shut everything down. We don't have access to our weight room. We've not had any Zoom meetings. It's just kind of giving everybody a break, coaches, players, because if we keep going now, or since we were back in January, June, and then if we end up playing in February, March, April, and then start up again probably in June or July. I mean, you can't ask your coaches and kids to go, 12, 13, 14 months straight. People need a break. Kids play other sports, do other things, have other interests, have other hobbies. So no, they've taken these last couple months off, and I've let them breathe a little bit. So.
By the way, we mentioned if you want to join the show, have any comments, you can drop us a text. And well, there you go. There's a knucklehead we were very familiar with there, Mike Guglielmucci.
Yep.
I can walk 3 houses down and go say hello to him, but it's nice to see him out there watching the show. Goog, glad you're out there. Always welcome. And again, if just hit that text box, and more than happy to have you join the show. And any questions you have for John or us, more than happy to try to answer it for you. All right, Coach Ivelo, we are now 39 days away from the alleged start of spring football. We are 58 days away from alleged kickoff for spring football. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's happening. We've talked about it many times off air, if you will. Give me some kind of hope if there's out there. Can we get this done in the spring?
Out of my hands, all I know is I got the vaccine. I got my first shot a few weeks ago. I get my second one this week. I'm doing my part. Whether you agree with it or not, no matter what side of the aisle you're on, I know it's what's best for me. And so I got it. But other than that, I mean, I'd like to see the numbers go down in the state. But until that happens, I think you're right, Edgy. I don't see that. When Governor Pritzker talks, he mentions April, May, and to me, that's not February, March, which is when we start. So I read between the lines, and I don't know, but it's out of our hands. My bigger concern is that we still don't have access to our facilities, and our kids, the majority of them, unless you have a private gym in your house or you have one that you attend that's open, what are they doing? I mean, you can't just throw a kid in this violent sport out there without training. Normally, we'll start an off season in December, January to prepare for August. Now you're going to open up the doors in February and say, go play in 2 weeks. That has me kind of worried. And then again, we only had 41 kids in summer workouts. I think a lot of them just said, you know what, this isn't going to happen. I'm going to go get a job, and which a lot of our kids did. They went and got jobs, or they're currently working. But when we do get started again, if I'm a senior that maybe doesn't play a lot and I haven't done nothing for the last 2 months, are we going to lose 10 more? Are we going to have 30 kids come out? And then in which case, you dip down to the softs and bring up all the sophomores and maybe just start preparing again, getting those guys ready for the fall. So I don't know. So many questions that need to be answered. I don't have answers for either.
No. Joe, go ahead. I know you had something.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about that. Not, the kids are basically have to do all the stuff on their own because everything is really shut down. And my biggest concern, I'm sure yours is too, of just the kids being prepared physically. March 19th was the day. I remember it, the last day. We had practice on the 18th, baseball practice the 19th. Everything was shut down from now until we start up again. And yes, some of the coaches that we've had on here said, well, maybe 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. I would say a concern as a coach would be injury for the kids. Just not that, like you said, a violent sport, a physical sport, a demanding sport like football, there would be some injuries that kids are going to get, let's say, that they wouldn't get as if they were used to the contact.
It takes a good month to get in shape to play a football game, in my opinion. We're getting 2.5 weeks as it stands right now, I think, when we come back, especially if the weight room doesn't open more, but the kids, they need to run. Hamstrings are just as concerning to me as a shoulder or something like that, because you can lose a kid for a season with a hamstring. And if they're not training properly, running, that's the biggest thing. Nobody's out there running right now. So they might be lifting or something, but nobody's in running shape. So, those are definitely some big concerns for me. But again, another thing out of my hands, we'll do the best we can with it.
Right.
But the kids aren't going to forget how to tackle, block, drop a ball, catch a ball, throw a ball. in the time we've had off. They're going to remember their plays. The biggest thing is, are they physically ready to play the sport? No,
Yeah.
depending on who you open up with too, how about the poor team that opens up with like a Lincoln Way East or something after this big break? Holy
Yeah.
cow. I mean, at least, we don't play them for a couple weeks. So.
One of your bigger fans out there, Coach Sean, nobody does better than Coach Ivelo at helping kids get recruited to play college football. So does it mean Coach Sean gets to keep his job for this next year? Or
Coach Sean is the head football coach down in Indiana. You forgot. He was my old defensive coordinator. Yes.
Okay.
He's down at Central, the Bears. Come on. Evansville.
Yep. I was going to say he's got a bear logo in his photo right there.
Coach Sean, no, and they had a great season. I believe they were semifinalists this year.
Yeah,
lost by I think 3 in the semifinal game. Almost got to play for a state title. So no, Coach Sean is doing a good job down there, rocking and rolling with that program.
As far as, and again, you covered it well. I mean, can you see? And there's been a model I know last week, and I know I sent this to you to take a look over from Miami Thomas, my buddy at Chicago Morgan Park, put together a plan which was generally spring ball, basically, in a short roundabout way. Is that something you can maybe get on board with a little bit if it was possible?
Just practicing?
I mean, with a scrimmage game or 2 at the most. So at least your seniors can say they had their final game on a field, or not, you don't even want to go down that road.
Well, again, I will do whatever they allow us to do. However, the model I saw had it starting early and going late, well past the May deadline. They had us finishing up our season May, going into maybe even June, I think. I forget, but it was just a long time. And once again, you can't go straight through spring, maybe take a month off. Everybody's going to want their summer days to get ready for the following. I mean, the human body, especially a kid's body, they can't take it. They can't practice football in contact and have, 9 games they're talking now, or, even if they haven't modified, take a month off, go through your contact days, and then start another season. There's got to be a break there, in my opinion. So once again, I worry about the human body, the kid's body. It just can only take so much. So maybe we would be better off just having a scrimmage game or 2, but and I feel terrible for our senior athletes. But those baseball players last year, they got screwed out of a season, and now they're getting ready to get out of number 2. So, hey, feel bad for us, but feel doubly bad for baseball.
And John, you've played at the pro level. I remember when Pete Bursich was playing with the Vikings, and he would come back, when I was at Providence, and we would talk, and I would ask him, I said, Pete, how long does it take your body to rejuvenate after a season? He goes, Coach Rod, probably till April or May. And I think you would agree, just by what you're saying about the kids, these are young kids with younger bodies, of course, and it would take them a while just to rejuvenate their body again. And it's ridiculous for them to, like you said, to go from, if you end in May, to start back up, let's say June 15th, and and all this other stuff. It is just crazy. And hopefully the IHSA, I know the football coaches, you guys think about that stuff, and coaches do. I'm just hoping the governor of the state of Illinois and the IHSA thinks about that also.
Yeah, well, again, and I don't have the answer. Trust me, nobody wants to see our kids play more than me, but my hands are tied. I think a lot of people's hands are tied. I know there's insurance issues. Then you've got to get school boards on board, your superintendents. Hey, are we going to let us play amidst this pandemic? Everybody's got their own set of standards, rules, whatever you want to call it. And so to get everybody on the same page and get this thing going, I don't know. I just think there's just too much divisiveness as of right now still to get it going in time, especially when as of January 6th, we've heard nothing.
Yeah, not a word.
Not a word.
Yep.
And I did I'll have this out tomorrow morning. I did a podcast with Mark Grounds, president of the Illinois High School Football Coaches Association, and didn't get anything new from him either. So, and he's as frustrated as everyone else. So,
No,
we'll see.
100% completely. And so I do. I feel for the kids, but truth is, we should have played in the fall like everybody else did, and we didn't. So we forfeit that. Why intrude on anybody else's season? Like I said, especially when baseball, they've got the biggest gripe over anybody because this will be the second time around they're getting looked over.
Right.
Your job has changed quite a bit. With the kids being on COVID, not in the school, I know you've had to adjust your duties quite a bit, and kind of impact. I mean, I know that have your hours changed? Has your life changed? I mean, or are you pretty much still on the same schedule, or is it completely changed?
I think my schedule's changed 7 times since March. I've had different assignments. I've been on 12-hour shifts. I've been on 8-hour shifts. I've worked weekends. I've been off weekends. I've worked Monday through Friday. But I'm in the street. You can usually find me in the big paddy wagon van driving around. That's how a lot of people know it's me, because I like to drive the big van because it's got a lot of space.
Yeah,
and
there you go.
Summer, it's got good air conditioning and good heat in the winter, and it's got a nice little radio in there. So I just go about my day and have a nice time patrolling the streets of Bolingbrook.
Well, again, appreciate you taking time out, especially pulling you away from Warrior Wing Night at Heroes West. So.
Oh no, I got my fill. It was time to go before I ordered another dozen. So
I'm sure. Before we cut you loose, we're going to bring this guy in. Mark Coglany's joining us. Hi, Cogs.
Another guy with no hair.
How about it?
Well, we got to get the bald guys, John. Come on.
Exactly.
I know. I'll shave mine for next time.
Atta baby.
By the way, Cogs, the connection is excellent. So whatever you did.
Good. I'm glad. I was a little worried there.
No, not at all. Well, it's got to be weird, John. You probably your paths would cross with this guy a little bit here and there, and I imagine that hasn't happened in a long time.
No, it hasn't. It's good to see you, though, Coach.
Good to see you.
Hopefully we'll see you sooner out, on a 7-on-7 or something like that.
That'd be nice, huh? Might have to wear snow boots,
Definitely. Definitely.
All right. Well, John, we're going to cut you out. We're going to literally physically kick you out of this room. So
fantastic.
Again, thanks for joining us, my friend. Stay safe, and hope to talk to you soon hope to be talking more football with you sometime
Definitely.
soon.
Gentlemen, thank you. Take care. And
John, give your dad my best, please.
I sure will.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. All right. John Ivelo fades away. Like that, Joe, I can kick him out anytime I want to.
I better watch myself, Cox, so you can do the same thing to me.
Yeah, right out those doors behind you.
I better pull the line and we're putting out immediately. First of all, it's great to see you. Like I said, it's amazing how you get in your routine, and you're the same way with, I'm sure, between teaching and coaching, and how all of our lives have just been turned literally upside down over the last year. And again, that's why I think Joe and I talked about doing this. We just wanted to get some semblance of normalcy back. Not that we were ever normal, nor will we.
Not at all.
But at least to talk about high school football, and at least try to throw some of these various issues and the good stuff as well. And I could tell by your T-shirt you're wearing tonight, we're going to talk about some of the good stuff with kids.
Yes.
But man, it's been tough on a lot of different levels, Cogs, and you can attest to that as well. And I'll bring the question that I brought to John. We're almost 500 days in some cases since teams have actually played a legitimate game. We're 39 days from when we're supposed to start practice. We're 58 days away from when we're supposed to kick off. First of all, I never saw this happening forever this long. I don't think any of us did.
No.
What's next? What's going to happen next?
Oh, gosh. Well, again, like everyone else, I wish I knew, but I know it's tough on everybody. It's tough on the kids, the players, extremely tough on our seniors. This is their senior year, and a few of those kids we're looking to have big years. So hopefully, get some interest from some colleges. Kevin Conway is a perfect example of that. I mean, here's a kid that 3-year starter, but his sophomore year he got hurt and missed most of the year. Had a good year last year, and he was looking to do some great things this year. And unfortunately, college coaches can't see him play. They can't come by to school, and it's and he's not the only one. There's a lot of seniors in that boat.
Joe?
Oh,
Wake up, Joe.
I know I am. I'm just listening to Cogs. Cogs, it's good seeing you again. Usually I see you about 10 or 20 times running around New Lenox, but I haven't seen football season. But again with the kids, I know have you been communicating with them or having any type of communication? I know you can't lift, you can't do the things. The kids have to do basically everything on their own right now if they can get someplace. But I know with either lifting or doing other things, have you stayed in contact with them?
Yeah, with most of them, right now during the holidays, obviously not, just kind of letting them be, but before we left for break, just had to keep encouraging the kids to stay in shape. Like you said, if you have a place you can go work out, that's awesome. Go ahead and do that. A lot of our kids will go to Camp Galgano at GPS. He does a great job, Providence grad. Other guys do things in their house, in their basement. And that's really all we can do right now is just encourage them to be ready when the time comes. We don't know when it's going to happen.
Is that one of the most frustrating parts to this is the fact that, well, obviously, you really have no idea what kind of shape your kids really are in. That's number one.
Right.
Number two, just there's no guidance. There's no time frame. The goalposts are literally on wheels now. They just keep rolling further away from us and further away.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have a plan in place? Have you had 17 plans in place for when this eventually starts up? Or does it get to the point where it's like, look, we know what we're going to do once we're given the go ahead, but can you almost overdo it at this point?
Yeah. I mean, basically we have, two concerns. One is, how are they going to be physically? Are they going to be in, good enough physical shape to be able to handle a practice and handle, some contact right away? We certainly don't want injuries. I think we saw a little bit of that in NFL. When they kind of came back, seemed like there were a little more injuries. So the physical part, and then the mental part. We did have our practices over the summer, our 20 days, a little bit in the fall, and that helped. But how much of that did they retain? So we come back. Some kids, maybe will retain quite a bit and be in great shape, and other ones maybe not so. So it's going to kind of be a puzzle in that sense too.
And that's got to be the biggest thing for a coach, Cogs, that you guys did have those, weeks and stuff like that in the fall. And, the kids probably excited about everything. And then as we find out, as we get into November and December, that as Edgy eloquently says all the time, kicking the can down the road and it keeps getting kicked down a little bit farther. Your concern, as you said, as a coach would be just what the physical shape of these guys are going to be and how much did they lose compared to when you guys were able to practice in the fall to where, if and when we ever start up again, where they're going to be at.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's kind of scary too. If we did start in February, which, that kind of looks a little doubtful, but if we did, how much we're going to get done outside in the cold in February? I mean, how long can the kids be out there, and coaches too, to keep their concentration, in that cold weather? Maybe we'll get a gym once in a while, but, it's a gym. You can't get much done in the gym. So, those are all, big concerns and questions that we got to deal with.
Family-wise, how has this impacted day to day? You've gone from, and we'll get into after the process handle this because you guys might be a model for how to pull this off during a pandemic. You guys have done a great job, but from personally, from a family standpoint, I mean, I went from being the only one working from home, and now everybody's working from home. And it's wonderful, guys. Trust me. It's really wonderful having them here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I love it. It's the dream. Anyway, the impact on you, your family during all this.
Yeah, well, our school situation is pretty good. Like I said, we can talk about that in a minute. But, one positive, it is nice to be able to come home after school. Coaching football, that never happens. And for me, I might have a few weeks off between football and track. And then, then I'm in track season starting in January. And so it's kind of a little bit strange being like a normal, just quote, teacher, that when that last bell rings, 7th period, I can go home. And the kids can't be in the weight room right now. So I do a few things and then I head home. So for a while there, my son and my grandkids and daughter-in-law were living with me because they were having a house built. So I was coming home to a full house, and that part was kind of nice, being able to spend some time, with them and with Betty, my wife, and so there was some good things, and obviously, right now we're just kind of waiting to see.
Yeah, it was nice having my daughter, as you know, Cogs, her. They sold their house, so they're living with us right now. You're right. Just coming home after school and the grandkids are here. It is great. Edgy has his dog Woody to take care of him, and but you're right, having the grandkids around, and it takes your mind off a lot of things, and that's the most important thing in our lives, and I'm sure like yours too, like with Debbie and I with the grandkids and taking care of them and the bonding that you have as grandparents with your grandkids even become even more now that they've stayed with you. So I know exactly where you're coming from. I know.
Yeah, no doubt. That was, like I said, it was a little bit enjoyable.
Wait. Once they leave, they can come back?
Oh, yeah.
Ready, yeah.
They all do, Edge.
I know.
You never get rid of them, right, Cox? You never get rid of them.
No.
I know. I have one, as you know, Joe, living with me now. So, yeah. So wonderful. One of the things we wanted to talk about certainly is the high school and how Providence has been able to pull this off. And have you guys been 5 days a week in school now, or has it scaled back?
Yeah, we were 5 days. I mean, it was the hybrid model. So, half the kids come Monday, Wednesday, the other half come Tuesday, Thursday, and they kind of alternate Fridays. So, teachers were in school every day, and the kids, half the time. And it worked out well. I mean, over the summer, I know Providence had a committee that worked real hard on getting this all figured out and the different schedules and so on. And so they did a great job. They said, we're gonna take advantage of this and, be prepared. And, us as teachers had to, do a lot of extra things and go to classes and meet. And, I don't know how it is at other schools, but we've had someone come in and they put a camera in every classroom. So we're on camera for the kids at home live. So it's not like they're just seeing us every other day. They're either in the classroom seeing us or they're at home, and we're teaching live to them. So it was a big undertaking, but I think it's worked out pretty well.
Yeah, at Lamont Cogs, we were 25% throughout the year. The first day back that I came back on September 28th was the first day at 25%, and that's how we stayed the rest of the semester. And we're going to go back next Tuesday, and we'll be 50-50, the true hybrid.
Okay.
And what we're doing is that I'll have 2 computers. And so I'll have the kids online with me, and then they can go. I have my lesson on my other computer, so I can see them, they can see me, and basically having a camera up where we're teaching, but it'll, I'm basically at a desk, and then the kids that are in class can listen to me with, just go on the one computer. So
that's about what
and I think most schools have done a great job with that. And I know a lot of people ask me, I'm sure like they ask you, do you feel safe at school? I do. I feel 95. You can get it anywhere. The COVID, but I feel pretty safe at school. I'm sure you do too.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Very safe. Like I said, Providence has done a great job, with cleaning, and we have all the cleaning materials, and we clean every desk after every class. Kids are always 6 feet apart. Classrooms are not overcrowded by any means. We got the new commons area, so as far as when they eat, there's only 2 kids at a large table, and they use the small gym and they use the old cafeteria, so everybody is spread out. And knock on wood, it's gone pretty well. I
think one of the more interesting aspects of all of this, from what I've discovered by talking to kids, I think the Catholic schools have really kind of benefited from this. Certainly, I think from an enrollment standpoint, Cogs, I've talked to a lot of kids and a lot of families that have that wanted in-school learning, and they saw their kids at home on computer all day, and obviously everyone has different situations with their kids, and some just felt that their kids could learn better in school. I think it's turned out to be a benefit for the Catholic schools, and I'm sure for Providence as well.
Yeah, and that was kind of their philosophy coming into this over the summer, that let's take advantage of this. Let's be prepared. Let's offer everything that the kids need. And our kids still have the option, if they want to just be online, they can do that. But, the kids want to be in school. It's kind of strange to hear, a little bit surprising. Everyone, when you had it in school, we all wanted to be out. But the kids want to be there, and they enjoy being there. And our enrollment office gets phone calls all the time, about families that, thinking about transferring in because they hear, positive things going on at Providence.
And the other thing that I found interesting from obviously talking to kids during all this is, and Joe, you and I talked about this a little bit, where kids have had their choice between in school or online, that some kids in some schools, one kid had told me the first day he was back, the first 2 classes he had 2 kids in each class, and everyone else was at home.
Oh, really?
So yeah. So and that's more common than you think. I've heard that from kids all over the state. So Joe, what I think, and we talked about a little bit, what's going to be interesting is when schools start working their way back, going a couple days a week, which everyone I've talked to, it sounds like it's either going to be next Monday or the following Tuesday, where a lot of schools are kind of kicking off the training wheels and saying, hey, we're going to attempt to start going hybrid again, which is great. I hope to God we're able to pull it off, because in my mind, that's another positive step. But Joe, I think a lot of maybe these administrators might not realize it's going to be a bigger endeavor to get those kids to go back into school than I think they realize.
Right. And as you said, Edge, and Cogs, I'm talking to you too about this, there were days where I just had 2 kids in class. I mean, and the rest of the kids were online, and sometimes nobody, and all the kids were online. But the kids that did come to school all the time, I teach seniors. So, and again, and I know you as a teacher, I taught with you for a long time over at Providence. And the one thing that the kids miss most of all is not only the contact with their friends, but the human contact with the teacher. And I know the type of teacher that you are, that in like with me, I love just to talk to the kids. I mean, and see how they're doing. And as now that we have, that you lecture, you have to stand, away from them and stuff. And that's, to me, that's the hardest part for me to do that. Whether there's 2 kids or 7 kids or whatever there is in my class. And I would kid the kids that would be at home. I'd always start out the class with, well, welcome to everybody out there in TV land. And they'd all start laughing. But the contact that I miss most of all is being with the kids. And I know how you are. You're the same way. And that's got to be the biggest thing. And having what you guys have at Providence and stuff is probably a little bit better than, hopefully I'll get that next week when we go 50-50. But that's one of the hardest things for me.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. It's great being in the classroom with the kids, and they want to be there too, and they enjoy it. Sitting in front of a computer all day, I'm sure that's got to be tough.
Yep.
I talked to some of the seniors, and they say the same thing. You think they might want to be home, but they don't. They want to be at school. It's much better situation.
More appreciative of school, I think, once they start coming back, as you said. Yes.
How about it? Yep.
Yep.
There's not a kid that I've talked to that hasn't said to me, you know what, I thought I'd never say this, but I can't wait to go back to school. They've all said it.
How about it?
It's either social or just from a comfort level where, again, that instantaneous feedback where they can ask you a question right away and they don't have to wait to get an answer. So there's no doubt there's a whole bunch of kids that, at least for a day, maybe for just one day, are going to have a really good attitude and a really, really happy outlook. The second day, we can't promise anything, but at least for that one day.
And one day they'll be happy.
Yeah. So, you're obviously wearing a purple shirt for a reason. Talking to you, Cogs, of course.
Yeah, there it is.
I'm colorblind. I think it's blue. I got blue on.
Yes, we can't talk playoff football even here in Chicago. I mean, sure, we lost our way to the playoffs, but damn it, Joe, we're in.
Yeah, I don't know how long it's going to last, but we're there.
And obviously, we got to talk about Miles Boykin, Ravens in the playoffs, and Miles again, just having a really nice career, NFL career for himself. And I know you're proud. I know all of Providence Catholic is proud. And I mean, just what a feel for you to turn on the TV and see that kid playing every Sunday.
Oh yeah, I mean it's just brought a whole new horizon to playoff football, and just watching that NFL channel or the red zone, because obviously the Ravens aren't on local TV all the time, so always keep an eye on that red zone to see if Miles is getting some catches. But I mean, you guys know Miles a little bit. He's just a great person, a great individual, and I know he doesn't have a ton of catches, but he doesn't have many targets either. But when they throw him the ball, he does his job. And I think a little bit surprising, but just how well of a blocker he is. And like that's one of the main reasons he's getting all his playing time. He works his tail off blocking, doing all the little things, and that's kind of represents Miles, how he is.
Well, he did play in the Catholic League now, and Providence did run the football a little bit when he was there. So, maybe something rubbed off on him, we hope.
Yes, that is very true. I mean, he worked real hard with us. He worked very hard in season, off season to prepare himself for the next level.
And in Cogs, my oldest brother Jerry, and his son, my godchild, is very big Notre Dame fans. And for the first couple of years when Miles was at Notre Dame, my brother kept asking me, where's that boy? Is that Boykin kid still over at Notre Dame? Like he wanted him to play and stuff, and because he remembers seeing him on TV and listening to the games and stuff. I says, yeah, he'll get his turn. And he made the big catches junior year in the bowl game, and then was really a major target his senior year. And to me, just seeing, as I told John, watching Tough Borland play last week and seeing him at Ohio State, it gives me a satisfaction in myself knowing I've known that young man. I've done the games, and the pride I have for him in the area. And I know being a professional, and you coach a professional, and I've been fortunate to coach a couple of guys myself, and one very well that got on the mound for the Cubs, and just the pride I had in them, as you do in Miles, knowing that, hey, I had maybe a little bit to do with his progression and the pride of seeing him on TV at the pro level.
Oh yeah, no doubt. It's just so exciting, and even the teachers at Providence, that had him in class are always asking me about him, and some of them keep in touch with Miles as well. And he's great getting back to people. I see a lot of things on social media, all the different events that he does, or things for charity. So I mean, he's doing all the right things, and on the field the same way. I've seen a few of the games, and shoot, when I'm watching, he's always open when I look at him.
Of course.
Lamar doesn't quite always see it that way, but again, I think Miles will do whatever it takes, and it's maybe like Notre Dame. It may take a while, maybe be a couple more years, and maybe he'll just get more acclimated. They'll get more acclimated to him, and he'll have a bigger impact.
See, I think when it goes back, and this goes back to when he was with you at Providence, Cogs. I mean, he was a kid that, when you scouted and evaluated him, you looked at him, and he was such a bigger kid, and you kind of knew he had speed, but you didn't realize his kind of speed he really had. And I knew more than a few coaches that kind of looked at him more as a tight end, and and I just think for him it was really a deal of, and even at Notre Dame where he finally got that shot at receiver, made the most of it. And I mean, you could have easily seen him physically develop more and end up being a tight end. I mean, he could have handled either one. Knowing him and his pride, there was no way he wanted to put 30 more pounds on and go play tight end. Now,
Right.
if it means a paycheck in the NFL, I'm sure he would have.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of kid he's been, though. He was always that, I hate using the word freak athlete because it gets overused, but he had some unique physical traits and talents that I think really played well all the way, obviously, now to the NFL level.
Yeah. I mean, when he was being recruited, I would say almost half of the schools wanted him to play tight end.
Yep.
And not that he wouldn't do it, but, he preferred to have a shot at being a receiver. And I think Notre Dame told him that, they would do that for him. And as far as his speed, high school wise, he was an outstanding player for us, but he wasn't one man show. Obviously
Right.
we had a great team in 14, but, he was a role player also, did things that he needed to do. As far as his speed, it was deceiving because he didn't look very fast. And every day of practice, whether it's one-on-ones or team, and he'd be blowing past our defensive backs. And, I'm a defensive coach. And I'm like, what's going on? Is he that fast or are our DBs that slow? And so I guess it turned out he was pretty fast.
Take a look at the screen. John Ivelo won't leave us alone. He has a question for Cogs. Cogs, have you talked to Jake Renfro?
Since the bowl game, no. When I saw he wasn't playing, I didn't know. I don't know if they kind of had to keep that secret or what. But I sat down. I had my Cincinnati shirt on. I was all set to watch Jake in the game, and then I saw that he was not there, not dressed, and sent out a few texts and found out that he had mono. So I haven't reached out to Jake yet. I'm definitely looking forward to talking to him. I mean, he
had a great year. He had a great year, dude. He had a great year.
Man. Yeah, he took over that center spot in week 2 or 3 and didn't give it up. And I saw a few of their games and did a great job. He's going to have a great career. Knock on wood, he stays healthy.
Yeah, no doubt. Again, perfect kid, right situation, right school at the right time. I mean, that Cincinnati program really just taken off and, just worked out great for him.
Yeah, I think, obviously he loved their head coach and he loved the visits he had there. And, I didn't have too much to do with that. I didn't hear, too much from Cincinnati, but when he went there, he fell in love with the place and he knew, that was the best place for him.
So my favorite, and believe me, I got stories about all your kids. Especially Miles still gives me grief to this day, which I'm totally honored by. That he'll even reply to something, and when he does, he usually gives me crap, which is great. Jake Renfro, we both have a love and affection for Riccobennies. Every time I go to Riccobennies, I screenshot if I'm outside of Riccobennies, and I send it to him, and it kills him. So every time he goes, he'll send me a screenshot letting me know he's at Riccobennies. So that's our little thing that we do today. And he's just a great kid. I mean, his dad, wonderful family and just, it's neat just to have those. He's another guy that he knows where he came from. Very humble kid, down to earth. And yeah, had a ton of them. Great representatives of your school, no doubt.
Yes, he is outstanding, and a great family, like you say. So yeah, I mean, this Sunday, looking forward to. We got back-to-back games with the Ravens on at 11, and then the Bears to follow. So
well, they're the hottest team out there, I think, Cogs. A lot of teams better watch out for the Ravens. They're hitting on all cylinders right now.
I agree. And last year when they lost to the Titans, my son and I went out to that game. So, I mean, a nice little trip, but didn't turn out too well. We saw Miles after the game and spent a little bit of time with us, and they were in shock. I mean, the whole team, they just couldn't believe what had happened.
Yep.
So, but now
it'll be different this year, I think.
I think so, but we'll see. That's why I got to play the game. But I'm sure they learn a little bit from it, and maybe they can have a little payback.
I mean, Joe, we asked this question the last show we had, and I might as well ask it again. I mean, why are we Bear fans?
We live near Chicago.
Okay,
That's all I can say.
Fine.
Yeah, well, I don't know why. I just do. There's some things in life, Edge, that you just do without even questioning yourself. And that's why we're Bear fans. We don't question it. We just are. And that's all I could say. I think guys would agree with that. We just are Bear fans. That's
we all know it was going to happen Sunday, right? We all knew going in.
There's always that little glimmer of hope, a little bit. Just a little.
Like our hair.
Yeah, my hair will grow back on Monday.
And they played pretty well for 3 quarters, but who didn't go, okay, here comes that Mitch moment.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Who did not say that?
They just can't beat Rodgers. That's all it is. I mean, and he's having an MVP year. He should be the MVP.
I said earlier, I think they very well can win the Super Bowl this year. I just think it's their year.
They could. I mean, he's got some good receivers, and he puts the ball where he wants it. I mean, there's some times where the receivers will make a great play on a ball that's behind him a little bit, but he's putting the ball right where they can catch it. And one thing that he does is he can read defenses, and he knows he knows playing the Bears and where they're coming from with the blitzes, just like on the 70-some-odd yard touchdown pass where the poor linebacker had to cover the wide receiver out.
Yeah, he found that mismatch pretty quick.
Trevathan, and the poor guy couldn't even stay with him for 3 steps.
No.
Is that like a worse flashback, Cogs, as a coach? If you had any of those where maybe your Thornton days where you had one of those where it was just ugly?
Oh yeah. It'll happen to all of us.
Yeah. Yep.
Unbelievable. Well, we got a few minutes left. Cogs, what do you tell your seniors at this time?
Well, I wish I had some news for them, some dates, some things to look forward to. But like I said, right now we just do what we can do, and that's try and stay physically fit, stay mentally fit. Get on your huddle. Check out film, check out our play calls, our play sheets, and be ready to go when the whistle blows.
Yeah, there's not much else, honestly. You just wait to see what happens, and hopefully we get a chance, and those kids get a chance, and be able to get at least one more game. And I think Cogs at this point, that's all we're really looking for, honestly. I don't think we're looking for a whole lot anymore.
No, I'd be happy if we had a short 4-game season, 5-game season. I don't need playoffs. Let's let the seniors have a few games, let the seniors play. And it's also, I think, very important for our lower levels, especially our freshman class. All these freshmen came in. We're very excited with our freshman class. We have great numbers, great size. And, they've been doing a great job in the weight room, but they haven't been able to play. So, they're excited. We're excited. And I just hope, they don't lose interest.
Yeah, like we asked John Cogs, even if it was like as Edgy asked John before you came on, just that they were 2 or 3 scrimmage games. I mean, just to play a game, it doesn't have, and again, not having the playoffs and stuff, just to get guys on tape.
Yeah. I mean, no pressure. Go out and have fun.
Right. Exactly.
And again, guys, it wouldn't be a show without Jeff DeGraw, and Jeff jumps in and, hey, don't feel bad. You could be a Browns fan.
A little more upside with them, Jeff, than they.
Yeah, I'd rather be a Browns fan right now. I'm not gonna lie. All right. Well, I think we're gonna wrap it up. Cogs, appreciate you taking time. It's great to see you and talk to you. I hope next time it's with better situation and we've got some guidance and we can actually talk about getting closer to a season and all that good stuff.
Yes, I agree. And thanks for having me on. And, thanks for keep doing the things that you guys do. And then hopefully it's all going to pay off here shortly.
Joe, thank you for, just being Coach Joe.
Cogs, tell everybody said hello. It's great seeing you. Even though it's like this, it's great seeing you again.
You too, Joe.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll see you next week. Good night.
All right.